Hello and welcome to the Luna Holistic Podcast. My name is Geneva Robbins. I am a Reiki Master here in Calgary, and this is the Lightworker Global Call to Action podcast series. And I'm so glad that you are all here. And I'm really pleased to be doing this and to be reaching out to you in this way. And yes, before I get rolling into the content, I want to first say a heartfelt thank you to the Indigenous peoples of the world, in particular the Treaty 7 nations where I live in Calgary. Thank you very much. And if you are an Indigenous person, welcome everyone. And also welcome if you're joining live or joining later. Thank you so much for being here. I'd also like to introduce Rita Reddy. She's my helper on the call tonight. And Rita is a Reiki master and trilotherapist here in Calgary, and she works with us at Luna Holistic. So say hi, Rita.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for being here with me tonight.
Thanks, Geneva. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Yay. So hopefully we'll be having some nice conversations and diving into the topics for this call, which is about life purpose and what is that? How do you find it? And how do you know when you've got it? Some of the tools that have led us there, and rest, which is a very wonderful combination. So this idea of like putting yourself into purposeful action and this call to action and balancing it with rest, and that interaction between that active doing, going and getting, achieving self, and that need for rest and recovery and rejuvenation. We'll be talking about letting go of worry and shining your light. So, and this whole idea that it's absolutely okay to be exactly where you are and not another place. And really anchoring yourself into that faith within yourself and how that all links up to life purpose. So that's what we'll be kind of talking about today. I do want to just cover a little bit of, I call this the Lightworker call to action, this global call to action of all of these heart-centered, compassionate, engaged people. So really the sensitive people, feelers, empaths, intuitives, because that's who I am, and that's very likely who you are too, is that you care a lot about what's happening in the world around you, within your families, within the greater global community. And there's a lot to feel about lately. And I've been sheltering myself a little bit from the news just for my mental health and well-being. I kind of dip my toe in and then I dip back out. And because it can be very overwhelming, all of the sort of challenges that the world is facing on top of the stuff that we are dealing with personally. So, but what I love about this work that we do here at Luna Holistic with Reiki training and meditations and things like that, is that Reiki and meditation are anchors for the energy that lives within your body. It gives you an ability to ground the energy and to surround yourself with basically a beautiful bubble of light, or to nourish your aura or your energy field around your body. And when you're anchored into your roots and you're in this beautiful bubble of light and energy, you are much better able to stay in those sort of compassionate roots and keep your sensitivity sharp, because it is your superpower, and also be able to interact with the world and bring the insight, the benefit, the information that you download directly from the divine, bringing that into every area of your life, not just in your spiritual life, but in your very practical day-to-day interactions with other people. When you drop into your heart, into your center, into your divine self, and ask from that deep intuitive place, what am I supposed to be doing? Or what is best for me? And what is my very next step? And taking those actions step by step by step, it leads you to a wonderful place, and you're able to access not just this reservoir of energy and strength within you, but also answers to very pressing questions in our lives and in the world, and bringing that creative ingenuity to really everything. um, Yes. Before we get into all of that, let's start with a grounding meditation. Grounding is an energy technique that helps you connect to the ancient reservoir of earth energy below your feet. And it is a supportive, nurturing flow of energy. And it's really just simply a visualization that we can do in a meditation. um, and and then we'll be dropping into our aura, which is the energy field right around the body. That aura is basically a filter between you and the rest of the world, and it's like it's sort of like myelin on nerves. There's this insulation around a nerve cell, or the insulation around a wire. So when people are really sensitive, sometimes you feel like you're an exposed wire or an exposed nerve. And aura bubble sort of helps you feel like you are in that very stable energy of protection and light. And it's much easier as a sensitive, empathic person to be able to stay anchored to your roots when you've got a strong aura. And yeah, we'll get more into that. But the best teacher is experience. So let's dive into a meditation so you can gently close your eyes and just take a few restful breaths. Breathing softly, if you can, through your nose. Letting the day go with a few soft sighs of relief. You are here. Allow all of your energy to gather within you. Bit by bit, breath by breath, letting all of the cares and concerns of the day gently float just for a moment outside of your bubble. You can attend to those things later. Right now, in this moment, all you need to do is breathe and connect to the deep energy within you and the deep energy within the earth. Very gently and softly with your breath, noticing the energy within the earth and noticing the energy within your body, allowing breath by breath bit by bit, allowing those two energies to find their own natural balance, a harmony, an equilibrium. Letting anything heavy go right to the center of the earth. Feeling that nurturing, supportive, wise Mother Earth energy rise up to meet your feet, to flow upward through the body, nurturing and supporting every cell, every organ, every chakra and energy center, filling you up right to the top of your head. Bringing in a restful, calm awareness, a stillness, as though you were sitting inside a mountain, with the tip of the mountain just beyond the top of your head and the wide base of support all around you. Sitting in a position of dignity and strength, peace and courage, calm, quiet, resolve. Within you lies all the answers you need. Bringing in a soft energy around your body, noticing a rainbow of light around you. With each color, from red all the way to violet, there's a clearing and a cleansing of your energy field, a soft and gentle dissolving of any energies that are not yours, any static that you may have picked up, anything at all that needs to clear. You can let go into the field of light. Sensing a beautiful layer of red light right around your body. Beyond the red, orange, vibrant and crisp. Beyond the orange, yellow, illuminated and vibrant. And beyond the yellow, green, compassionate and gentle. Beyond the green, blue, clear. Beyond the blue, indigo, dark blue. Beyond the indigo, violet, purple, right on the furthest edges of your aura. Take a deep breath and allow the energy around you to expand out to several meters away from your body, claiming your full space all around you, allowing yourself this time of expansion, surrender, and relaxation into your most restful state of energy. Feeling each chakra alive and vibrant, starting at the crown, the beautiful purple violet color, at the third eye between your brows, a deep serene indigo, at the throat, a beautiful bright blue, at the heart, a vibrant vital green, at the solar plexus, a sunny warm yellow, at the sacral in your lower belly, a beautiful vibrant orange, and at your root chakra at the base of your spine, a rich red. Feeling the energy flow all the way down your legs. You can bring your hands down your legs, moving the energy down, connecting into the earth below you, and then sweeping your hands over your aura, feeling nice, clear energy all around you, and giving the edges of your aura a little pat to seal in all of that goodness and healing. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Hello. Welcome back. Welcome here. All of you is now fully arrived in this moment. That was so nice for me. Most of those free form meditations are just me narrating what's happening for me. When I do the grounding and the aura and sort of a check-in with all of my energy centers and the flow between them, I always feel so peaceful, so connected, and so clear. Like all of the mind chatter just sort of shifts off and away. But I'd love to hear what you had to experience. If you're joining live, you can type in the chat and I'm happy to read aloud your comments. If you're joining later, you can type in the comment section below the video or podcast, and I'd love to hear what you experienced. I learned so much from hearing what other people get from these sort of shared experiences and meditations. So yes, Allison, thank you. Calm and expanded, much needed. Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here, Allison. And Rita, how was that for you? What did you experience in that meditation?
Hi. Yeah, the same, that expansion, that the rainbow expanding out was just such an awesome visual that, yeah, brought me some centering for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice at the end of the day, hey?
Yeah, totally. At the end of this month.
At the end of this month. I know, and we're only the beginning of July and it's already
yes, the end of June.
We're still processing the end of June. I'm still processing the end of March, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's been a very topsy-turvy, world-changing time, and it's surreal because here in Calgary we're kind of getting back to normal. I'm looking for a better word, if anybody has a better word than normal.
Yeah.
I'm kind of tired of it, uh, because it's not accurate, because this is anything but normal. I think it's like a comfortable present, or we've just become an adaptive present, that we're just getting used to all of the changes, and indeed this sort of idea of constant change, which really isn't a new thing. Change is the only thing that doesn't change, and that it's always there, and there's always things that come up. Oh yes, thank you, Allison. She says reinvention. Um, that is a good word. It is. It's this new space that we're all collectively entering together, and yet it's also got tinges of familiarity. Um,
The
it's
new now.
the new now. Yeah, the new
Yeah.
now. It
The
is
new
the
now.
new now.
Yeah.
I prefer that muchly. Thank you. And Sandy, with the meditation, it's always such a peaceful and relaxing meditation. Thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad. Um, yeah. So yeah, it's a little bit of a surreal time is massive understatement. There's definitely times where things, especially when you're at home, um, that you can kind of forget that all of the things have shifted, and then you go out and you're sort of navigating this new now, and this reinvented new now, and yeah, and so it's been very fascinating for me. One of the things that I've been noticing for me in my life, is this: the more I surrender to the new now, and I surrender to the moment, and I just allow what is to happen. I've been very focused over the past couple of weeks on surrendering to the flow of life, and just riding things out instead of trying to cling and force and control and push and pull, which we all like to do. I'm just tuning into sort of the deeper rhythms in this river of life, and flowing with rather than trying to flow against, and which means that all of the things that were on my time schedule may or may not happen. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. And getting comfortable with that, and just really, really trusting that the things that I get to in a day are the things that I'm meant to be doing, and the things that I didn't get to that day, or the things that I'm on in the present moment, are the things that I'm supposed to be doing in that moment, and trusting that I'll get the guidance, the impetus, the calls, these little tugs of spirit to guide me. And while my brain likes to organize and create task lists, which I do and I still attend to, I've been very aware of needing to go beyond what my intellect has planned for me, and going into a deeper call of the heart, I guess, and really focusing on that. And what has spun out from this is this beautiful synchronicity. Like, there's been so many people reaching out to me that, and just sort of randomly bumping into people that I maybe haven't been in connection with for years, and they just sort of pop up and say hi, and each person, each interaction, it's sort of like it confirms, it's like, see, you didn't need to direct traffic. It's like this morning I had this thought of like, I'm feeling kind of lonely. I feel like I kind of, have been thinking about friendships, and, maybe I should reach out to some people when I feel lonely. That's a good indicator to that I need to like connect with people, because my whole job is around connecting with people and having these really deep interactions. And one of the things that has shifted with this new normal is that my daily interactions with multiple people has decreased. And I have very deep interactions with a few people, but I have, and I think many of us have a need, or the sort of extroverted need, to connect with community and and friends. And I just had this thought, and I was like, well, but I have a bit of a busy day, so I'll just let it go. And I had not one, but two people who I haven't spoken to in ages message me out of the blue. And one of the people it's been years since I've connected with her. And I just thought, this is how the universe works. You have a thought and you surrender it. You're like, I like this. And you just go, okay, I'm just gonna ride the moment. And if I feel like throughout the day, I'm not going to resist reaching out to people, but if throughout the day I get to it, then great. And if I don't, then I'm just going to let it go, and I'm just going to trust that. I'm just going to trust, and if maybe tomorrow I will reach out to people. And I just thought it was such a neat little, you know, example of how following this flow and being in the state of presence and in the moment and in this surrendered state, um, puts me into alignment with the forces of the universe. And other people are also doing that too. And and both people, they're like, you just were on my mind and I wanted to reach out to you. I just thought that was such a sweet little example of this, of how we can't plan that, and sometimes it's like if you pushed or pulled those interactions, maybe they wouldn't work. You wouldn't connect with a person when they were available and you were available. And and so just letting that flow and harmony just sort of float you to these things, it works with that example of connecting with other people, but I think it works in so many other ways as well. That um, we every time we are tuning in to that wise heart within us, our core and our center, we are in this magical alignment with the energy, not just within us, but within everything and everywhere. And and when we're in that vibration and that flow, things start to just work out. And it's a bit mystical and a bit magical, but it's actually backed up by science, which is really, really beautiful. I was just watching a really cool documentary about the life of David Bohm, who's a quantum physicist. I think it's called Infinite Potential. I'll put the link in the thing so you can watch it too. And it was just fascinating, and it was this idea of his, that in order to resolve the discrepancies between quantum physics, so what happens at a very micro scale within atoms, and sort of general relativity or cosmic physics, what's happening with gravity and in between the planets and the stars, that we have to look to the sort of deeper, there's a deeper layer of awareness. And one of the ideas that he was talking about is that when you look up at the sky, the field of this deeper reality is, there's more energy between the stars than within the stars. The stars are actually dips in this potential energy or field of flow. And I think it's such an interesting concept of that there's more energy between us than within us. There's more energy around us. There's more of us that isn't localized within a body. That the body is actually just a tiny little speck in the fullness of who we are. And I think it's so cool that quantum physics is talking about, science is talking about that there's this field of awareness, this limitless energy that is connecting all of us in all of these beautiful dynamic ways. And that when we sort of put our consciousness into it, when we put an intention or we sort of dip into this sort of deeper heart-based awareness, we interact and flow with this sort of fabric of the universe that we're a part of. It's all around us all of the time. And yeah, and I think it just, when we're in that flow, it leads us to our life purpose. To circle back to the topic at the beginning, that sometimes we can get very in our heads about like, what am I supposed to be doing, and how am I best able to make a living? And I found that my life has taken a very random walk. I started out as a scientist, and spent years doing that and thinking that that was my purpose, is to work on the environment and do those kinds of things. But when I got there, it was like, it's not this. But looking back at that time, I know that those years and, doing my master's thesis and all of that work has been instrumental in doing all of the work that I'm doing now. And which doesn't seem like an obvious path for a Reiki master, to like first get your undergrad in science and then go and work for a bit in environmental science and then go on and do your master's thesis in science, and all along the way, study Reiki and spirituality. That seems like a very odd combination of life path. But when I look back, everything makes sense to me of why I needed all of those experiences so that I could be the best helper I can be right now for you. And yeah, so it's, I think life purpose is something that we live moment to moment to moment in that connected place. And one of the things that I've always done is I've always followed my heart. And as much as possible, I let my heart, my spirit, my deeper energy choose. And sometimes it's like the big questions, you let them choose, you let that part of you choose for like big things. But more and more day to day, I'm letting that inner being make all of my choices, even tiny little ones that seem inconsequential, like how am I going to spend the next 5 minutes. Those things are, I feel like the more you're tapped into that, you just get led where you need to be. I feel like there's a wisdom within us and within this fabric of the universe. And the more we spend time connecting into that wisdom inside and how it interacts with the wisdom within all of the energy around us, that you can't miss it. You can't be late for your fate, is something my guides always say to me, that you will be led exactly where you need to be to have all of the beautiful co-created experiences you are supposed to have. And every single little bit of it is instructive, even if it's painful or difficult or confusing, or if it feels like, well, why am I in this unsatisfying job if my calling is somewhere else? It's like, well, who knows why? But there's experiences and lessons within all of those things. And I feel like you can get those lessons faster when you're tapped into your heart space and your heart, the wisdom inside. So there's my ramble. um, I'd love to hear what you have, what if you guys have questions about that or anything else. Really, it's like ask an angel. Um, I tap into the divine, so we can have a very wonderful, intuitive conversation about any topic that's on your mind. But Rita, I'd like to talk to you right now. I'm really curious because you are a trilotherapist, which
Mhm.
is a technique that was developed by Nissim, Zen master Nissim Amon,
Mhm.
saying that right?
Yeah.
And and in trilotherapy, there's a lot of discussion about the center. Um, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah. First of all, I really love what you said about the body is the tiny little speck in the fullness of who we are. That was cool.
Mhm.
um, yeah, so the trilotherapy does talk about the center being who you essentially are, and all your decisions are being made outside of you usually. And so by either your emotions or your rational mind. And a lot of the time we're out of balance in that space. Like we're using either too much of one or too much of the other, and we're not really making decisions um, through the center, which is our true self. Um, so so trilotherapy essentially helps you start doing that and gets you, there's a bunch of different workshops um, that have to do with letting go of worry and rest and finding your life's purpose and aligning yourself, your actual self, with all of those things, and trying to see how your rational mind or your emotional mind kind of war at times, um, and don't allow you to get to that place or to be in that calm. And meditating and all these activities that get us back to the center, like yoga and Reiki and meditating and aligning your chakras back to that place and that space where you can have that quiet sort of observation of the world instead of being like a part of it and buzzing and doing all the things and being really fast and, I don't know, living in that kind of active state, by becoming more observant of your world and being more of a, like, being more in the now and being more present. You can you can you can then become aware of how, where you need to be, how making decisions from the center and from this place of observing is a much better place to make decisions from.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah, that center place. It's interesting because it's like it's a for me, I always when I think about it, it's like for me the center is like right in the center of my chest, but
Mm-hmm.
not inside the physical heart and way deeper than like the surface emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it's the part of me that's sort of like uh I feel it quite viscerally, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, of its like this deep resonance inside,
Yeah.
almost like a magnet.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Somebody I worked with years ago said that it's like your heart is a magnet and your path is like is a railroad tie or a railroad track,
Oh
and
yeah.
that you when you go and you have experiences you basically move and turn, and then you can kind of feel the greatest sort of pull or magnetism, and then you just take a step, um, which I thought was a really neat way of expressing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a being centered inside yourself, and but also inside the moment. So
Mhm.
it's like, so for me, it's like that. Um, it's a combination of where your the greatest part of your awareness is. I think of it as like, where are you living? You know, if your energy or is right lined up with your physical body, and sort of your spiritual feet are in your feet, um, then that's when we feel really connected. And it's sort of like, when we're thinking about a future moment, it's like we project ourselves forward in time, and we're not, our feet aren't where our feet are. We're living somewhere other than we're actually living in the present moment. And it's almost like this step back into the self, or into this sort of central channel and connectivity. um yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
trial therapy is really cool. I'm going to hit you up for that this summer.
Yes, please do. It's so
I,
awesome.
yeah, I've had we've done a few bits of and pieces of the workshops together throughout the years, and I get a lot from them. It's a really, um, even when I resist it, it's like, but how do you plan and be in the present moment? That was my biggest thing. Is like, so much of my job is scheduling
Right.
and thinking about the future and preparing for the future. And the way that I've sort of resolved that is like, where it's like, where are you living? Are you living in that future moment you're planning, or are you in the present moment living in
Yes,
the
exactly.
act of putting, tasks in a calendar?
Yeah,
You're not
exactly.
doing
You're not
that
doing the
task.
task,
You're
right?
in, I'm not in the future Reiki class. I'm just putting the Reiki class in the calendar.
Exactly. And you'll
I'm
be
not,
there when you get there.
I'll be there when I get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have a question from
Mhm.
Sandy. I've been struggling to find and articulate my life purpose, and more important, what my soul's desire is. I want to move into this work, but I get stuck not being able to find it. How do I channel my energy to find that meaning in my life? That's amazing. Thank you. I know that feeling very, very well. I spent, and I think that's also the, like, this sort of hidden benefit of me being in, basically, like, not the wrong job, but in a job that wasn't using my full talents and skills that I was supposed to be doing to serve the world. And yeah, and so for a while, it's less about, especially, for me, I find, um that I get more, mm, uh I think there's a bit of like, hindsight is 2020 when it comes to your life purpose. So I'm able to understand my life purpose by looking back, rather than trying to look forward or put words to it. Um, there's there's a bit of like, following your heart's calling is a big part of your purpose. And so I think it's a little bit of, um, what has helped me. I'll just start there, because I can only speak from my own experience, because everybody needs to walk their path on their own. And it's, I think it's interesting of like, what are the tools of path walking that might help you? So when I walked my path, I had this, like, I knew I wasn't in the right place, which is an uncomfortable knowledge to have, to know that it's like, I'm kind of close, but I'm kind of not. I know there's something more, but I don't know what that more is. I don't know what to call it. um, I worked so hard in my undergrad degree. I was so passionate. I just wanted to, like, work on biology and be in nature, and I loved science. I still love science. It's fascinating to me. Um, And then I got my first professional job, and within 4 months, I knew it wasn't it. And I was devastated. I'm like, I've worked so hard. I've spent so many, like, since this is all I could think of since I was a teenager. I knew exactly what I wanted to do in high school. I was like driven and passionate. I didn't want to take any like electives because I just wanted to stay focused on science and biology, and anything else was a distraction from my purpose. And then I get into what is my dream job, and now I know that isn't it. And that, but I had no idea at that point what it was. And um, so it created that sort of not knowing. It is actually benefits you. It's uncomfortable, but that discomfort is fuel for this sort of exploratory searching. And there's a really important phase which our culture kind of can dismiss or ignore. So, which is this gathering times. It's yin, it's feminine, it's letting things come to you, it's gathering experiences, it's trying a bunch of different things, it's sampling from the buffet of life, taking one bite of each thing to see if you like it, if you know, does that resonate with you, does it not? Um, and what does, you know. And so I went into this exploratory path for a while, and I got into every, and I sort of knew that there was like I think I'm a healer, maybe I don't, but I just love the spirituality stuff, and I can't get away from it. And that's when I picked up my first book on Reiki. um, I didn't even know that anything about it, but it just totally clicked as soon as I picked up that book. I'm like, this is amazing. What's this all about? I read everything I could get on my hands on about with spirituality. I got into crystals and essential oils and the mind body connection, and I just connected with Louise Hay's work with You Can Heal Your Life, and Dean Radin's work with the science behind intuition and the psi phenomenon of how we can be intuitive beings. Um, just loads and loads and loads. And I just gathered as much as I could. And and really I was studying for what I was and preparing for what I was really supposed to be doing. Um, and for a long time, and then I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. I know I'm supposed to be a healer. But it was like my arms were very wide because that is a very wide topic. It is it is as wide as the whole world. And because there's many ways of sharing our light and bringing that compassionate heart and to the world. Um, and so it's like, but what specific thing is it going to be? And and really, I think there's also a little bit of we can get caught in the mind of trying to label and name what it is our life purpose is, when there's an equal possibility that what you are meant to do has no name yet, because you are supposed to name it. That it is a combination of all of the things that light you up, that it maybe isn't one thing, that maybe it's several things that inspire you, that make you light up inside, the things that pop you out of bed in the morning. That's always a really great place to start. um, for me it was like, I at that time in my life, I could sleep almost around the clock, but if I was traveling, I could get up at any time. I would just pop out of bed. If there was travel involved, adventure, I was there. And so I was sort of searching for something that would motivate me, with a deep internal motivation, not something that I had to generate from my mind and push myself to do, but something that was generated from a deeper energy. And it wasn't until I sort of clicked onto Reiki and teaching about Reiki, not just doing sessions, but teaching in particular, and realizing that I'm a teacher, um, that it all sort of clicked into place. And not just being a teacher of Reiki, but for me, it was combining everything I had learned into the courses at Luna Holistic. Every single piece of the things that I have studied throughout all of those years are combined into these courses, including all of the Reiki stuff. And I just call it Reiki because it's convenient, but it really is like an integrative discipline, and I find that that the energy that underlies all things is in everything that I was interested in, including the environment, including nature, including how everything is put together and how it works, and how we interact with it as humans, and how we interact with other human beings. It's all driven by this beautiful web of energy. Um, for me, the things that have helped me the most have been meditation, have been grounding and connecting in. And then, so like doing a 5-minute meditation is like, and to not get too far away, but like in this next step, in this next 5 minutes, what would light me up? What would, especially on your off hours, um, to go and to not put too much pressure, especially when we're in that yin gathering time. You can't rush that process, just like you can't rush a seed from the ground. You can't and don't want to like rush you know there's lots of themes of like just gestation or germination, that there's a deep process that's happening below the surface that's very important and is formative and informs the unfolding of all of the rest of the tasks and activities. And so we, from our very yang-based, mind-based world, we can get rushed into trying to make it a thing before it's actually fully gathered or fully formed. It's like ripping the seed from the ground before it's even germinated or sprouted. It's, staring at this little tiny shoot and going, where's my tomatoes? It's not the season for it. And that by allowing it and nurturing it and doing the things in that moment that that little sprout or seedling needs is going to benefit it in the long term. So it's like, what are the things that I need to do, not 5 years from now, but today? What's one tiny little thing today that will light me up, light my soul up, will connect me to my center? And then when I'm connected to my center, what does my center say? I liked what Rita had to say about like connecting into, like letting the center make decisions, because that's the place that actually knows. And for me, it's the place that is interconnected and interwoven with the fabric of the universe. So it's gathering information from a very vast net of things and giving you information on things you can't see. There's things that you can't see that are beyond your awareness, that aren't in your experience yet, but your heart knows them. The core of you is always communicating with that vast array of energy beyond you. And when you tap into that, it might be subtle at first. It might not feel like much of anything. It might be like, well, I'm going to do this because it really inspires me, or I'm going to like, follow this path, or I'm going to do, go to a yoga class, or I'm going to look that thing up online, or I'm going to, do a little bit of a internet ramble on a topic that interests me. you can do those active things. And I think that is good because it signals your readiness for more with the universe. And then you end up getting into sync and harmony. The more times you make choices from your inner being and your center, the more you are getting this feedback, and the universe is going to start moving you to the place where you need to be, where the answers are. And so what ends up happening is you will get handed books. You will get nudged to call people. You'll be an agent of the universe, just like my friends were like, I heard that you, through the interconnectedness of the universe, that you weren't sure if you had friends. Well, I'm going to call you and let you know that you do, because that was your question. And here's the immediate answer in the same day. Right. And it's like, it's things like that. But, and so then you follow up by those with those things, because when you encounter things that are synchronistic like that, something in you lights up. There's like a resonance inside that goes, oh yeah, that's it. Sort of like sometimes it's the head to toe chills, or, it just sort of lights you up, or you just get like a smile on your face, or there's some part of you that resonates with like, yes, like this is what I need right now. That was the way it was for me with The Untethered Soul, the book by Michael Singer. I had heard people talking about it and I thought that I was hearing people talk about it because it was just out. But there were many people who were like, oh, you need to read this book. And I'm like, yeah, that's a really great book. I'm putting it on my list. I'm putting it on my list of things to read. And I just, I was like, I never actually picked up a copy. And it would come up in random conversations, and it's like, oh yeah, I need to get that book. And then a student of mine came in, she's like, here you go, here's a copy. It was like, I have 3 at home, and I hadn't talked to her about this at all. um she just spontaneously brought it in, and then I was like, okay, now I need to read this book. And it is a fantastic book. I highly recommend it, and it's very topical for what we're talking about now, because he talks about sort of going into these deeper layers of the self, and like diving right into the soul. And when we're in that space, things unfold in front of us. And for me, there's this interaction between that yin restful gathering, so letting things come to you, and taking action. And just like harvesting that, plant, you need to know when to plant the seed so that you can harvest the fruit later. And you need to know when to let it be, and you need to know what to nurture it with. um, and that there are phases of where you need to take action, and you need to do things in a particular sequence and order. And when I find, when you're in that flow, and getting in the habit of making choices from the center, I find that those things pop up, and and that you get led there step by step by step, because your life purpose isn't outside you, it's inside you. And so if you go inside, and to the place that hasn't ever forgotten what you need to be doing, what your purpose is, what is going to be the thing that lights you up the most, there's that place within you that knows, that eternal witness knows. And when we're in that space of the witness, then we will be guided to rest when it is time to rest, and take action when it's time to take action. And one of the things that I really explore in all of my work is this idea to sort of flip motivation on its head a little bit, which is that when we are totally fully rested and all of our energy centers are topped up and our aura is bright and strong and we're grounded, action is a natural result. You have more than enough energy to do all of the things that interest you, and it's not about time management, it's about energy management. It's about making sure that you are resting appropriately so that all of your chakras are bright and vibrant and strong. So then you've got all the energy you need to take action on maybe what's ahead. And yeah, so hopefully that answered your question, Sandy, and probably a little somebody else's, a few other people's questions. But yeah, I find like when COVID hit, I looked back and I saw every experience in my life had led me to this very unique moment, that everything was purposeful, right back to being an 8-year-old with asthma and wheezing all night long and being afraid to fall asleep because I might not wake up. And the similarities between that and COVID-19 and how it creates this deep level of compassion for people who are struggling to breathe all night long and they're afraid to fall asleep because they may not wake up. And that's a place that I have lived. So I have very deep compassion for that and an awareness of it. It prompted me to study what makes lungs healthy, what's the energetic connection between physical well-being and mental well-being, and how closely they can be linked, especially when our resources are stretched thin. And this connection between spirit, body, mind, emotion, and how they all interact with one another, and that they're so entwined that they don't, you can't kind of entangle any of them, that they are really truly linked. Because where is the mind if not in the body? Where are the emotions if not in the body? Where is the energy if not centered around and within the body, and interconnected with all of the things? So yeah, so it's not always easy to see what the purpose of an experience in your life is, until you kind of look back. I think there's a little bit of like, oh, that's what it is, or that's what it is, how I can say it. But yeah, Rita, I'd love to hear from you. What would you like to share?
Sorry, I was
Yes, good.
not getting to unmute myself for some reason. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That was amazing. Like what you said kind of in the beginning when you said, I think I'm a healer, after saying, after going through school and going and doing all your environmental study. In trilotherapy, we do an exercise where basically you imagine yourself on an airplane and it crashes. And everyone that survives this crash, kind of like, you're in the mountains, you have to like band together, you're in survival mode. And there's a person doing kind of like a roll call and asking you, what can you contribute? And what can you contribute, like in that moment? What's your biggest, what's going to be your biggest asset, and what can you bring to this group of, 20 some odd people that are just kind of needing organization and guidance and to like kind of band together to survive and And it's so cool because you go, I think there's a meditation as well. There's a meditation part of it too, and you just kind of think about what it is that you would bring, and just imagine yourself in that role. And it's so cool because basically, like, your top four things that you're really great at come out right away, and you're just like, these are the things I want to contribute. And they might be, I'm the scribe, I write, or I'm the healer, and or I'm the counselor, and I'm gonna, help people psychologically or mentally get through this, and emotionally get through this. Or I'm the cook, and I'm gonna feed everyone, and I'm gonna gather, plants, or I'm the healer in like the medicine sense, and I'm going to find all the medicines in the forest that we're near and stuff like that. And all that kind of, or I'm the cleaner, like I'm going to clean, I'm going to make sure everything's organized and clean. And, I'm going to gather up all the belongings that we can find and that are useful and things like that. And they're just such simple tasks, yet so important to the greater good of like the collective survival of the people that are there. And it's such a cool exercise. So you can also do that, Sandy. That's like something that you can
Yes.
do to
Yeah.
quickly kind of hone down your skills. Like, what are they? Like, whittle down, like, what's the main great
Yeah.
things?
Yeah. That is so beautiful. Thank you for
Yeah, you're
sharing
welcome.
that. Yeah, and it's neat because I immediately thought of like yeah, like there's like the organization, but there's also like for me it was like, oh yeah, like organizing not the things but the people. They're like, oh yeah, there's the leadership part.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like, yeah,
exactly.
I'm good
And
at that.
not everyone is, right? So not everyone's going to want to organize things. And
Yeah,
yeah, you're
yeah,
probably one of the
yeah,
few that will.
yeah. And there's because that is something that I think it comes from this sort of teaching aspect is like one of the things that I think that I'm good at is like I see the light in people even if they can't see it. I see potential. And I resonate, like there's a part in me that resonates when people talk about what lights them up,
Yeah.
and for me it's like it's so obvious. So like just even with a conversation in Reiki or in business mentoring, of the thing that they're most passionate about. I always think like follow your passions, what lights you up, what you're interested in, what your natural gifts and talents are. What I like that idea of like, what do you have to contribute to the world? And sometimes it's like skill sets, but it's how are you using those skill sets in a way that is meaningful to you and meaningful to other people. And what do people keep asking you to do is the other thing.
Yeah,
You
totally.
can't get out, it's like they always say, oh, when the teacher is ready, or when the students are ready, the teacher appears. But it's actually the other way. That is the total backwards. The actual way it has happens um, is that when the
And the
teacher is ready, the
student is
student
ready.
appears.
Yeah.
Is that when you are supposed to take the next step, you'll have people hounding you going,
Yeah.
and I mentor a lot of people, and they'll, if they're supposed to be teaching Reiki, for example, they will try to refer all of their friends to me. And their friends will not come to me because their friends, they're like, yeah, but when are you teaching Reiki? Because I want to learn from you. And they'll be
Right.
like, oh, but my teacher's so great. It's like, yeah, but when are you teaching Reiki? And so
Right.
sometimes you can pick it up in the things that people say and the things that people ask. And And you know, sometimes they'll be like, oh, do you know someone who does da 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 da, and you're like, no, but I kind of want to do that, or I do that, or I maybe that's an area to explore. um Sometimes you just often I think we kind of we just get led into the places that we all need to be. um and yeah, and I find that uh, when we're in our mental field, we're going to be led to places that are mental. And like actually like crazy making, you know, because the mind can only see what it sees in front of it. When we're being led by our emotions, we're going to be led to places that are emotional. If we drop in deeper to our spirit, which we can do with meditation, with grounding, Reiki, yoga, trilotherapy, all of those things, when we drop into that place, we'll be led to places that have experiences that are central, that resonate, that light us up, that give us purpose and meaning and joyfulness. And the more and more you do that every step of the way, the more you um, get your heart gets magnetized um, to where you're going to be. And then when you look back, you'll find out, oh, I was doing it all along. That's what I found. It's like, oh, I was doing this all along. Was there actually ever a moment where I wasn't in my life's purpose? No. Every single moment was part of my life, and I did it as purposefully as I could. So therefore, you're always in your life purpose, which is another way of looking at it. Try to get out of it. You know, it's like trying to stop being part of a universe. You know, you can't. You just are it, and it's part of you, and it's when we follow that, that's what lights us up. So thank you, everybody. What an illuminating conversation. This has been just so lovely. I totally dig these kinds of conversations and what unfolds. Um, and before we leave, I just want to encourage you to really tune in to the voice inside your heart, and moment by moment, give yourself a day, maybe on the weekend or a day off, and give yourself a whole day where every choice is led from the center, and see what happens. Take a journal and just see what kinds of ripples the universe has for you when you tune into your heart. Do I want an apple? Do I want an orange? You know, is it time to eat, or is it not time to eat? Is it, uh, just using that central place, and, meditate for a few minutes before every choice, and see what, where you get led. It's a pretty beautiful, it's a very great way to spend a day off, if you ask me. Um, and please, if you found this conversation inspiring or insightful or helpful in any way, please share the link, lunaholistic.com, with anybody who you feel could benefit. Everything is going to be posted on the blog, and many of our other shows and podcasts are up there, along with other things. And you can get a Reiki session and a trilotherapy session, amongst many other sessions. We are now open at Luna Holistic in Calgary. And if you're not in Calgary, we also offer virtual services, so we can do Reiki online, which is very, very cool and amazing and beyond time and space beautiful. And I just want to thank you for being here. Thank you so much, Rita, for being my helper and discussion partner for tonight. I don't know if you're still there.
I am.
Anyway.
I was trying. I just. You're supposed to be able to press space bar and unmute yourself, but it just never works for
It
me.
just doesn't work. Yeah.
Oh, but
Well,
you're
I
welcome.
hear you
Thank you
loud
for
and clear.
having me.
Yes, thank you so much. It was really, really great. I always adore our conversations together. So
Me
thank
too.
you. And thank you everybody for joining live or later. Be well and take very good care of yourself because you are a unique spark of light in the universe and we need you. So take care and be well. Bye, everybody.